funny how the world works when no one is watching. You do something small, quiet, almost forgettable, and the crowd never claps because the crowd never knew. No cameras, no applause, no name attached to the act, just you, a choice in a moment that could have gone either way. You helped someone who didn't look important, didn't sound powerful, to announce who they really were, and that's the part that matters, because the truth is, heaven doesn't keep score the way people do. It doesn't care about appearances, status, or how impressive the story sounds when it's told later. It watches intent. It watches restraint. It watches what you do when there's nothing to gain, and no one to impress through character. Doesn't show up when the lights are on. It doesn't wait for permission, doesn't pose for approval, doesn't straighten its posture because someone important might be watching. It shows up in the quiet moments, the uncomfortable ones, the seconds where no one would ever know what you chose unless you decided to confess it later. That's where the mask slips. That's where people reveal who they are, without the performance, without the script, without the reward dangling in front of them. When no one is watching, there's no incentive to pretend, and that's exactly why the truth leaks out. Most people behave like they're constantly on a stage. Even when they think they're alone, they're still imagining an audience, still narrating their actions as if someone might someday hear the story. They do good because it feels good to be seen doing good. They help because the idea of being praised is stitched into the act itself. But remove the audience, strip away the possibility of recognition, erase the future bragging rights, and suddenly the room gets very quiet. Choices become heavier. Motives get exposed. And that's when character either steps forward or disappears entirely when no one is watching. Kindness costs more. There's no applause to soften the effort, no validation to justify the inconvenience. Helping someone when it benefits you is easy. Helping someone when it costs you time, energy, pride, or comfort, and gives you nothing in return is where the real test begins. That's where you find out whether your values are real or just decorative. Because anyone can play the role of a good person when the world is keeping score, but only a few continue playing it when the scoreboard is gone. There's a strange freedom in being unobserved, too. Without eyes on you, you're not bound by expectation. You're not performing morality, you're practicing it. And practice is messy. It's inconsistent. It's quiet. It doesn't always feel noble. Sometimes it feels inconvenient, annoying, unnecessary. Sometimes it feels pointless. And yet, those are the moments that define you more accurately than any public gesture ever could. Because character isn't a highlight reel, it's a habit. It's what you default to when there's no reward waiting at the end. People like to believe they're good because they've done good things, but the question isn't what you've done. It's why you did it. And whether you'd still do it if the outcome were erased, if no one thanked you, if no one noticed, if the act dissolved into nothing the moment it happened. That's where honesty begins. That's where self-deception loses its grip. Because deep down, everyone knows when they're acting and when they're being. And the silence of being unseen is loud enough to expose that difference. There's also fear in those moments. Fear of being taken advantage of. Fear of wasting effort. Fear of doing the right thing and being left with nothing to show for it. And that fear is revealing. It shows how transactional people have become, how conditioned they are to measure worth by return. When no one is watching, the transaction disappears, and what remains is intent. Raw, unfiltered intent. Do you help because it aligns with who you are, or because it enhances who you appear to be? The world reward spectacle. It remembers grand gestures, dramatic sacrifices, public declaration, but it's shaped by small, quiet decisions that never make it into stories. The moment you choose patience instead of cruelty when you could have gotten away with it. The moment you choose honesty instead of convenience when lying would have been easier. The moment you help someone without knowing who they are or what they're worth. Those moments don't echo loudly, but they accumulate. They carve patterns into your behavior. They harden into identity. And here's the uncomfortable part. When no one is watching, you don't get to blame pressure or expectation or circumstance. There's no excuse, no narrative shield. The choice is yours, naked and undeniable. You either step forward or you don't. You either act with integrity or you reveal that integrity was conditional all along. And once you see that about yourself, you can't unsee it. The mirror doesn't shatter just because you don't like the reflection. True character isn't proven by what you announce. It's proven by what you don't announce. It's built in moments that vanish the second they pass, moments that leave no evidence except the subtle way they reshape you. And the frightening thing is that those moments are happening all the time, stacking quietly, shaping who you're becoming without ever asking for your permission, without ever checking whether you're ready to face what they reveal, without ever caring whether anyone else will know what you did when the world wasn't looking. Kindness without recognition is heavy in a way most people don't understand. Not heavy like applause or praise, not heavy like a reward you can point to and say, "This is mine." Heavy like carrying something no one sees, something that presses inward instead of outward. People love kindness when it's loud, when it sparkles, when it comes with a story attached. They love it when it turns into a moment, a headline, a reason to be admired. But strip all that away and watch how uncomfortable things get. Take away the witnesses, take away the credit, take away the chance that anyone will ever know. And suddenly kindness becomes inconvenient, suspicious, even foolish in the eyes of a world trained to ask, "What's in it for me?" Because recognition changes the math. When someone knows they'll be seen, their kindness is lighter, easier to lift. There's a payoff waiting at the end, even if it's just a smile of approval or a quiet sense of superiority. But when there's no recognition, no future acknowledgement, no hidden audience, the act stands alone. There's no transaction, no exchange, just a decision made in silence. And that silence is where the weight lies. That's where the act presses against your ego, your patience, your sense of fairness, and asks whether you're willing to do something good without being rewarded for being good. Most people aren't. Not because they're evil, but because they've been trained to equate value with visibility. If it doesn't get noticed, it feels like it doesn't count. If no one knows, it feels wasted. So kindness becomes performative, shaped and polished for maximum impact. People help when it benefits their image, when it reinforces the story they want others to believe about them. But unseen kindness doesn't support a story. It doesn't build a reputation. It doesn't protect you from judgment. It just exists quietly, and then it's gone, leaving nothing behind except the subtle shift it makes inside you, and that's what makes it dangerous. Kindness without recognition forces you to confront your own motives. It strips away the comfort of external validation and leaves you alone with the question you'd rather not answer. Would you still do this if no one ever thanked you, remembered you, or returned the favor? That question makes people uneasy because it exposes how conditional their morality really is. How often good behavior is tied to expectation, to outcome, to reward. When those things disappear, kindness becomes a burden. And not everyone is willing to carry it. There's also a kind of quiet courage in it. Helping without recognition means accepting that your effort might dissolve into nothing, that it might change nothing, that it might never come back to you in any form. It means acting without control over the narrative, without proof that what you did mattered. And in a world obsessed with impact and results, that feels like madness. Why give energy where there's no return? Why invest where there's no guarantee? Why be kind when the universe isn't keeping receipts? But that's exactly why it carries weight. Because it isn't strategic. It isn't calculated. It isn't insurance against guilt or loneliness or judgment. It's an expression of who you are when there's nothing to gain. And that kind of action reshapes you in ways recognition never could. Praise can inflate you, distort you, trap you into repeating acts for the sake of applause. Unseen kindness humbles you. It reminds you that doing the right thing isn't about being right in front of others. It's about being aligned with yourself. There's a strange discipline to it too. It teaches restraint. It teaches you to let go of the urge to announce, to explain, to justify. It forces you to sit with the discomfort of being unacknowledged. Resist the temptation to turn a quiet act into a loud confession. And in that restraint, something sharpens. You become less dependent on external affirmation, less reactive to how others perceive you, less interested in being seen as good, more focused on simply being decent in moments that don't make noise. And here's the part people don't like to admit. Kindness without recognition changes the balance of power. When you act without needing credit, you're no longer controlled by the audience. You're not negotiating your values based on who's watching. You're free to act according to principle instead of performance. That kind of freedom is unsettling because it removes excuses. You can't say you didn't help because it wouldn't matter. You can't say you didn't act because it wouldn't be noticed. You either chose to do it or you didn't. Unseen kindness also has a way of moving quietly through the world. It doesn't announce itself, but it ripples. The person who received it may never know its full weight, but it alters something. It interrupts a pattern. It softens an edge. It changes a moment that could have gone another way. And even if it doesn't, even if it disappears without a trace, it still leaves its mark where it matters most, in the habit you build, the instincts you reinforce. The version of yourself you're slowly becoming through choices no one applauds, no one records, no one remembers. Choices that accumulate silently, shaping you in the dark, teaching you to carry weight without asking the world to acknowledge that you're carrying anything at all. Appearances are comforting lies. They let people feel safe, let them categorize, dismiss, underestimate, move on without thinking too hard. A clean suit means authority. Worn shoes mean insignificance. A loud voice means power. A quiet one must mean weakness. That's the fairy tale everyone agrees to believe because it keeps the world simple and predictable. But the truth doesn't live on the surface. It hides underneath, watching people trip over their own assumptions, smiling quietly while influence moves in silence. Unseen power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. The ones who truly hold leverage rarely look like they do. They don't flash it, don't decorate themselves with symbols, don't remind you every 5 minutes of who they are. They blend in, they listen, they wait. And while everyone else is busy posturing, demanding respect, performing importance, real influence is already at work, nudging outcomes, bending directions, shaping futures without ever stepping into the spotlight. People confuse noise with strength and visibility with control. They trust what looks impressive and ignore what feels ordinary. That's why appearances are such effective disguises. The most dangerous individuals don't look dangerous. The most powerful minds don't look intimidating. The deepest influence often comes wrapped in humility, anonymity, or even vulnerability. And that's not an accident. It's strategy, whether conscious or instinctive. When you're underestimated, people lower their guard. They speak freely. They reveal intention. They show you who they really are because they don't think you matter. And that's where unseen power thrives. It feeds on disregard. It grows in the shadows of assumption. When someone thinks you're insignificant, they stop protecting themselves around you. They stop filtering. They stop calculating. And suddenly, you see the machinery behind the curtain. You see how decisions are made, how egos drive outcomes, how fragile the structures of authority really are. Influence isn't about standing above others. It's about understanding them while they are busy ignoring you. Appearances also give people permission to judge lazily. It's easier to decide who matters based on looks, status, tone, or presentation than to pay attention, to listen closely, to stay curious. And that laziness creates blind spots, massive ones. Blind spots where power slips through unnoticed. History is full of examples where the quiet, overlooked, dismissed figures were the ones who shift everything, not by force, but by timing, insight, patience, and proximity. There's something unsettling about realizing how much control exists without spectacle. It challenges the idea that power must be visible to be real. It exposes how vulnerable systems are to subtle pressure instead of open confrontation. A whispered word in the right ear can outweigh a shouted command. A small decision made quietly can dismantle years of loud effort. And the people who understand this don't rush to prove themselves. They let others underestimate them, because underestimation is leverage. Unseen power also reveals something uncomfortable about how people treat each other. When you think someone has nothing to offer, you treat them carelessly. You interrupt them, you dismiss them, you overlook them, and in doing so, you expose your own character. You reveal that your respect is conditional, tied to status and benefit rather than humanity. That's why appearances are such effective filters. They show who respects only power and who respects people. There's a reason some doors open quietly. Some opportunities don't arrive with announcements or guarantees. They appear as ordinary moments, casual interactions, brief encounters with people who don't seem important at the time. And most people miss them because they're trained to look for spectacle. They're waiting for grandeur, for confirmation, for proof that something matters before they engage. Meanwhile, influence slips by unnoticed, carried by someone they didn't bother to see. Understanding that appearances lie changes how you move through the world. You stop assuming. You start observing. You listen longer. You speak less. You treat every interaction as potentially significant because you've seen how often power hides in plain sight. You realize that the person with the least to prove may have the most control, that the quiet presence in the room might be the one shaping the outcome, that the figure everyone overlooks could be holding the thread that connects everything, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how often people mistake decoration for substance, volume for authority, visibility for relevance. You notice how quickly they reveal themselves around those they think don't matter. And you begin to understand that real power doesn't need to announce itself because it doesn't depend on permission, applause, or acknowledgement. It operates whether it's recognized or not, shaping events while everyone else is busy staring at the surface, laughing at. The costume, missing the hand, quietly turning the wheel intent, is the part everyone tries to rewrite after the fact. Outcomes are easier to point at, easier to parade around like evidence, easier to defend when things go wrong or glorify when things go right. People love outcomes because outcomes let them pretend the road they took doesn't matter as long as they arrived somewhere impressive. But intent is quieter, uglier, harder to fake. It's the thought you had before you acted, the reason you moved before you knew how it would end, the truth you don't get. To edit once the choice is made. Two people can do the exact same thing and live in completely different moral universes. One helps to be seen. The other helps because not helping feels wrong. One speaks the truth to look brave. The other speaks it knowing it might cost them everything. The outcome might look identical on the surface, but underneath, the intent tells a very different story. And that story matters more than anyone likes to admit, because intent exposes who you are before luck, timing, or coincidence gets involved. The world is obsessed with results because results are measurable. You can count them, display them, monetize them. Intent can't be graphed. It can't be proven to an audience. It exists in the space before action, where no one else has access. That makes people uncomfortable. It means you can't hide behind success if your motives were right. It means failure doesn't automatically make you wrong if your intent was clean. And most people would rather not live in a world where that distinction matters. Outcomes are often accidents wearing suits. They're shaped by variables no one controls: timing, perception, chance, the decisions of others, the mood of the moment. You can do everything right and still fail. You can do everything wrong and still win. That randomness terrifies people, so they cling to outcomes like proof of worth, like trophies that justify whatever intent they had along the way. If it worked, it must have been right. If it failed, it must have been foolish. Simple, comfortable, completely dishonest intent is where accountability lies. You can't blame the universe for why you acted. You can't point to circumstances and say they forced your motives. You chose them. You carried them into the moment. And even if the result surprised you, even if it exploded in your face or turned into something you never planned, the intent still belongs to you. That's why people rush to explain themselves when things go wrong. They're not defending the outcome. They're desperately trying to salvage how their intent will be perceived. There's also a cruel irony in how intent gets dismissed. People say intentions don't matter, only results do, usually right after their own intentions are questioned. It's a convenient philosophy. It allows harm as long as it's successful. excuses manipulation as long as it's effective, forgives cruelty as long as it produces something impressive. It turns morality into a scoreboard and strips it of any depth. And once you accept that logic, you can justify almost anything as long as it ends well enough, but intent shapes who you become, not just what happens. Outcomes pass, they fade, change, get reinterpreted over time. Intent leaves a mark, it reinforces patterns, it trains your instincts. Every time you act from selfishness, from fear, from ego, from hunger for control, you make it easier to do so again. Every time you act from honesty, restraint, empathy, or principle, you strengthen a different muscle. That shaping happens regardless of whether the world applauds or condemns. The resultant intent also reveals how you see other people. Do you treat them as means to an end or as ends in themselves? Do you help to gain leverage or because you recognize vulnerability? Do you speak to understand or to dominate? Outcomes might hide that for a while, but intent never lies to you. You know when you're using someone. You know when you're manipulating a situation. You know when you're acting out of fear instead of conviction. And that knowledge doesn't disappear just because things worked out. There's a strange calm that comes with acting from clean intent, even when the outcome is chaos. You don't scramble to rewrite history. You don't twist explanations to protect your image. You can sit with failure without it poisoning your identity because you know why you acted. That doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives it clarity. Acting from corrupted intent, even when it succeeds, creates a different kind of unrest. You're always guarding the story, always afraid someone will look too closely, always aware that the foundation is unstable. Intent matters because it's the only part of the equation you truly control. You don't control how others respond. You don't control timing. You don't control consequences once the action leaves your hands. But you do control why you move, why you speak, why you choose one path over another. And that choice, repeated quietly over time, defines you far more accurately than any outcome ever could, whether celebrated or condemned, whether remembered or forgotten, whether it crowns you or destroys you. Because when everything else is stripped away, intent is what you're left staring at in the dark, when there's no one left to convince. People like to think they can get away with anything, that they can lie, betray, hurt, and walk away untouched. Oh, they laugh, they gloat, they go on with their lives like nothing happened, like there are no consequences, like the pain they caused was just a passing moment, a little inconvenience for someone else, nothing worth worrying about. But life? Oh, life has a funny way of keeping score. People think they're clever. They think they can do whatever they want. Lie, betray, hurt, destroy, and just walk away. No price to pay, no consequences, no second thoughts. They treat pain like it's disposable, like it disappears the moment they're done dishing it out. And oh, how they laugh. How they smirk, how they go on living their little lives, convinced they've won, convinced that nothing's going to come back around. But the thing about life, about the universe, about justice, it doesn't forget. No, no, no. It remembers. It takes its time, it waits, and when the moment is right, oh, it collects. See, when people do you wrong, they don't think twice about it. It's nothing to them. Just another day, just another moment, just another decision that they'll never have to answer for. And that's the trick, isn't it? The ones who cause the most damage never stop to think about what they've done. They don't sit with the weight of it. No guilt, no regret, no second guessing. But that doesn't mean they've escaped it. Oh no, just because you don't feel the fire right away doesn't mean you aren't already burning. You ever notice how the worst people always seem fine at first? Like they don't suffer? Like they don't feel any remorse? It's enough to make you wonder, where's the fairness in that? Where's the justice? Patience, because the game isn't over just because they think it is. That's what makes it funny. They go on living like they've won, like they're untouchable, like they're free. But the best traps, the best traps don't snap shut right away. No, they let the prey wander a little. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they really got away. And then it starts. Not all at once, not in a way they recognize. No big explosion, no grand punishment, no flashing red sign that says you're paying for what you did. No, life is more creative than that. It starts small, a little crack in the foundation, a tiny shift in their world. Something goes wrong, but not too wrong, just enough to make them uneasy. Maybe a deal falls through. Maybe they lose someone they thought they'd always have. Maybe the happiness they thought they secured doesn't feel quite right. And that's where the real suffering begins. Not in loss, not in failure, not in sudden catastrophe. No, no, no. The worst kind of punishment, it's slow, it's silent. It's when everything should be fine but somehow isn't. When they should feel happy but they don't. When they should be at peace but something keeps them up at night. That's how life works. It lets them walk forward thinking they're free until they realize they've been carrying the weight of their own actions this whole time. And the funniest part, the absolute funniest part, they won't even see it coming. They'll look around confused, wondering why things don't feel the same, wondering why the victories taste hollow, wondering why no matter how much they gain, there's still something missing. And they'll never figure it out, never put the pieces together, never understand that the reason they feel empty is because they took too much from others. Because they drained people dry, because they left destruction in their wake, and now something is making sure they know what that feels like. Oh, but they won't see it that way. No. They'll say it's just bad luck. They'll blame the world, blame circumstances, blame everyone else, but never, that's the way it always goes. The ones who do the most damage are always the last to admit that maybe, just maybe, their suffering isn't an accident. Maybe it's just the world correcting itself. Maybe it's balance. Maybe it's something bigger than them making sure they finally feel what they put out. And by the time they realize it, if they ever do, it'll be too late. People like to think consequences come with flashing lights and loud warnings. That if they do something bad, life is going to slap them across the face right then and there. That's what they expect. They think if nothing happens right away, they're off the hook, safe, free. But life isn't so predictable. Life doesn't always work like some cheap crime movie where the bad guy gets caught in the end. No, life is much smarter than that. It doesn't need to chase them. It lets them run, lets them think they got away. And then, one day, when they least expect it, it lets them feel it. See, people walk around carrying things they don't even realize. The weight of their own actions, the damage they've done, it clings to them, wraps around them like an invisible chain. And they can laugh, they can act like they don't care, they can go on pretending like they're untouchable, but that weight doesn't just disappear. It doesn't vanish into thin air. It settles in, slowly, quietly, until one day they wake up and something feels off. It starts small, a little emptiness here, a little discomfort there. They tell themselves they're just tired, just stressed, just having a bad week. But deep down, something is wrong, and they don't know why. They got everything they wanted, didn't they? They won, didn't they? Then why doesn't it feel like a victory? Why doesn't it feel good? Why does every little thing they thought would bring them happiness feel like just another thing? That's the part people don't understand. The worst punishment isn't some big explosion. It's not lightning from the sky. It's not some dramatic downfall where they lose everything in a single moment. No, the worst punishment, it's losing something they never even knew they had until it's gone. Peace. They lose their peace. The ability to sit with themselves and feel okay, the ability to close their eyes and rest. Because no matter where they go, no matter what they do, no matter how much they try to distract themselves, there's this little voice, this little itch, this little gnawing feeling that something isn't. And the best part, they don't even know why. They'll start searching, trying to fill that void. Maybe they chase more success, more money, more admiration. Maybe they surround themselves with people who tell them what they want to hear. Maybe they keep running, keep moving, thinking if they just keep going, they'll outrun whatever it is that's creeping up behind them. But that's not how it works. You can't outrun what's inside you. You can't run from the weight of your own actions. You can try. You can try. But the faster you run, the heavier it gets. And that's the beauty of it. That's what makes it funny. They think they're free. They think they've won. They think they got away without paying the price, but the price was never something they had to chase. It was never something they could see. The price was always inside them, slowly making itself known. Because life doesn't forget. It doesn't need to punish them in some obvious way. It just makes sure that sooner or later they realize they're never truly at peace. And the best part, the absolute best part, they'll never connect the dots. They'll sit there confused, lost, wondering why no matter how much they get, it's never enough, wondering why they can't sleep at night, why they feel restless, why something always feels missing. They won't understand that what's missing is the thing they stole from others. They won't understand that their own hands built the prison they now live in. And that's a kind of justice no one sees coming. Funny thing about pain, it's not just something you feel, it's something you carry. A weight, a shadow, a presence that lingers long after the damage is done. But here's the trick. The ones who hurt others, they don't feel it. Not at first. No, they walk away feeling lighter, like they just tossed all their baggage onto someone else and now they're free. Fresh start, clean slate. They tell themselves it didn't matter, that it was just a moment, just a decision, just something that had to be done. They wipe their hands, put on their best smile, and keep moving. And for a while it works. For a while they really do seem untouchable. But life isn't that simple. Because what they don't realize is the weight doesn't just disappear. It just waits. See, they think the worst part is over. They think they can leave the wreckage behind and never have to look back. But that's the thing about destruction. Sometimes the one who sets the fire doesn't realize they're standing in the middle of it. And the smoke, the heat, the damage, it follows them. It gets in their clothes, their lungs, their skin. But not right away. No. That's the beauty of it. It's slow. It's creeping. It's something they don't notice until it's already inside them, becoming them. They don't feel it at first. They feel fine, better than fine. They feel great. They tell themselves they made the right choice, that they were smart, that it wasn't their fault, or maybe it was, but who cares? Life's too short to dwell on these things. And so they go on, and for a while, everything seems perfect. But then the little things start happening. See, life doesn't always strike with thunder and lightning. It doesn't need to. It's much more patient than that. It starts with small, almost invisible shifts. A bit of unease, a strange restlessness. They don't know why, but things just don't feel as good as they used to. Maybe they start losing sleep. Maybe the things that once excited them feel a little dull. The victories feel emptier. The laughter feels forced. They look around and realize the people they pushed away, they're not coming back. The bridges they burned, they're nothing but ash. And maybe, just maybe, they start to wonder if they made a mistake, but they won't admit it. Oh no, they can't. So they keep pushing forward. They tell themselves they're fine, that they're strong, that they don't need anyone, that the past is the past. But the past, the past has a way of catching up. Not in some big dramatic moment, not in some grand reckoning, but in the quiet moments when there's no one left to impress. No one left but themselves and whatever it is that's missing. That's when it really starts to hit. The weight they thought they left behind, it's been on their shoulders the whole time. The pain they caused, it didn't just disappear. It just changed hands. And now it's creeping back into their own life, into their own mind, in ways they never expected. Because life doesn't let anyone walk away clean. No one. And the best part, they won't even see it coming. They'll think they're just having a bad day, a bad month, a bad year. They'll blame everything and everyone else. But deep down, something in them knows that this is no accident, that this is balance, that this is the universe making sure they understand what they never cared about before. And by the time they do, if they ever do, the damage will already be done. Because that's how life works. You don't just get to hurt people and walk away untouched. One way or another, the weight always finds its way home. People think they can do whatever they want and just walk away. That's the biggest joke of all. They lie, they cheat, they betray, they leave scars that don't heal, and then they wipe their hands clean like nothing ever happened. Like the damage just disappears the moment they stop thinking about it. Oh, but that's not how it works, is it? No. Pain doesn't vanish. It doesn't dissolve into thin air. It moves, it transfers. It doesn't just go away. It goes somewhere else. And the ones who cause it, they think they're free. They think they're untouchable. But what they don't realize is that life has a way of evening the score. They think justice is some big dramatic event, some big moment where everything catches up to them all at once. A bolt of lightning, a sudden fall from grace. But the truth is much simpler, much more entertaining. See, life doesn't need to destroy them. No, that would be too easy, too quick, too merciful. Life does something much better. It makes sure they feel it, not all at once, not in some grand theatrical way. No, life is far more creative than that. It chips away at them, piece by piece. It lets them win, lets them celebrate, lets them believe they got away with it, and then it starts whispering in their ear. They don't even notice it at first. A little doubt, a little crack in the foundation. The things they used to enjoy don't seem as bright anymore. The victories feel smaller. The happiness they were so sure of, it starts feeling hollow. They look around and realize they're surrounded by people just like them. People who would do exactly what they did if given the chance. And suddenly, they're not so sure who they can trust. They start looking over their shoulder, start wondering if they're next, because deep down, they know. They know they left destruction in their wake, and they know destruction doesn't just disappear, it finds new targets. It's funny, really. The ones who hurt people the most are always the ones who fear being hurt. They build their little walls, create their little defenses, act like they don't care, like nothing can touch them, but it's all an act. Because the real punishment, it isn't losing everything. It isn't some grand downfall. The real punishment is realizing too late that they never really had anything at all. They'll chase happiness, try to fill that void. More money, more power, more people to tell them they're great, that they're right, that they deserve everything they've taken. But the more they chase it, the more exhausted they become. Because nothing feels real anymore. It's all just a game, a performance. And no matter how much they win, no matter how much they collect, something is missing. Oh, they'll tell themselves it's just bad luck, just a rough patch, just the way life is. But deep down, deep down, they know. They know that what's missing is the thing they crushed in other people. They know that no matter how far they run, no matter how much they distract themselves, they can't outrun that. Because it's not coming from the outside, it's coming from inside. And the best part, the absolute best part, they did it to themselves. Life didn't have to lift a finger. It just sat back and let them walk right into their own trap. Because that's how it works. No big explosion, no dramatic endings, just a slow, creeping realization that they were never as strong as they thought they were, that the world isn't as simple as they believed, that actions don't just disappear, they echo. And those echoes, oh, those echoes get louder over time. Funny thing about people, they think they can hurt someone and just move on like it's a transaction, like they can take something from you, leave you bleeding and walk away without ever looking back. And maybe for a while it seems like that's exactly what happens. They do what they do, they smile, they celebrate, and the world just keeps spinning. No consequences, no punishment. They think they've won. But see, that's where the joke is. Because the game isn't over when they walk away. No. That's just when it starts. Life has a way of keeping track of things, even when no one else does. It doesn't need to make a scene. It doesn't need to strike them down with some big dramatic moment. That would be too obvious, too easy. Life, oh, it's much more creative than that. It doesn't take things from them right away. It lets them have everything, lets them think they got away clean, and then slowly it starts pulling the rug out from under them, piece by piece. At first, they don't even notice. Maybe they feel a little emptier, but they shrug it off. They tell themselves they just need a new distraction, a new thrill, a new way to keep moving forward. And so they chase it. More power, more success, more people to admire them, to validate them, to tell them they're special. But here's the thing about people like that. They can't sit still. They can't stop. Because the moment they stop, the moment everything gets quiet, they feel it. That little nagging feeling in the back of their mind, that little whisper telling them something isn't right. They'll try to ignore it, drown it out with more noise, more excitement, more control. But life doesn't forget. It waits. It watches. And little by little, it starts taking things away. Not the big things, not yet. No, it starts with the small things, the things they don't even realize are important until they're gone. The ability to trust people, the ability to feel something real, the ability to sleep peacefully at night without something gnawing at them from the inside. And before they know it, everything around them starts to feel fake. They try to hold on, they try to convince themselves they're still winning. But something isn't right. The things that used to bring them joy, dull. The victories, hollow. They start to notice that people only stick around because of what they can offer, not because of who they are. And suddenly, the loneliness sets in. A kind of loneliness that no amount of power, no amount of success, no amount of admiration can fix. Because when they look around, really look, they see nothing but strangers. People who would turn on them in a heartbeat. People just like them. And that's when it hits them. They're alone, truly, deeply alone. But even then, even when they start to realize something is wrong, they can't admit it. No, that would mean facing everything they've done. That would mean acknowledging the truth they've been running from. So they keep going, keep pretending, keep acting like they're untouchable. But life isn't done yet. Because when it finally decides to take the big things, when it finally decides to show them what real consequences look like, there's nothing left to hold on to. No one left to save them. And by the time they realize the truth, it's already too late. People think they know how the world works. They think they've got it all figured out. Hurt someone, move on. Step on a few people, climb a little higher. Leave a mess behind, let someone else clean it up. And maybe, for a while, it even works. They keep winning, they keep laughing, they convince themselves they're smarter, stronger, better. But the thing about life, it's always watching. It's patient. It doesn't strike right away. Oh no, that would be too predictable, too kind. See, life prefers a slow burn, a whisper instead of a roar. The best tricks are the ones they never see coming. The ones that don't hit them until it's far, far too late. And this one, it's a classic. It starts with a little doubt, a tiny crack in their perfect little world. Maybe things don't feel as exciting anymore. Maybe the people they surrounded themselves with don't seem as loyal as they used to. But they shake it off, tell themselves they're imagining things. They have to believe that. Because the alternative, the idea that the walls are starting to close in, that's too much to handle. So they laugh a little louder, push a little harder, pretend they're still on top. But life isn't done yet. No, this is just the setup. Because while they're busy trying to outrun their own conscience, while they're busy stacking up their wins, they don't notice the little things slipping away. The trust, the security, the certainty that everything will always go their way. And then one day it happens. A shift, something small, something that shouldn't even matter, but it does, because it plants a seed, a little nagging feeling that grows and grows and grows, and suddenly they're not as untouchable as they thought. Suddenly things aren't as easy. The victories don't come as fast. The people they relied on, they start to disappear. Or worse. And when the ones they hurt finally get their moment, oh, they take it. But here's the funniest part. By the time they realize what's happening, by the time they start piecing it all together, it's already in motion. Life isn't just punishing them. Life is teaching them what it feels like, the uncertainty, the fear, the loneliness, the realization that no one is coming to save them, that they did this to themselves. They'll try to fight it, try to claw their way back, but it's too late for that. Because this isn't just bad luck. This isn't just a rough patch. This is the universe balancing the scales. This is every choice, every action, every careless mistake catching up to them all at once. And there's nothing they can do about it.